In the world of classic machines, there is a certain type of creation that feels as if it escaped the usual march of time. It does not bend to trends, it does not chase headlines, yet it stays relevant by offering something far more durable than novelty. It delivers connection. It delivers presence. It delivers a kind of mechanical honesty that many enthusiasts quietly crave. These machines invite you to slow down, to pay attention, to feel how every component collaborates under real load. They do not rely on screens or complex electronics to shape the experience. Instead, they use simplicity as a form of confidence. When you encounter one of these icons, even if you are not an expert, you sense that every line and every decision came from a clear philosophy rather than a styling committee agenda. Today we are diving into one of the purest examples of this mindset, and if that kind of engineering storytelling resonates with you, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment the next topic you want to see. In this segment, I want to explore how the 1965 Morgan 4/4 came to represent a bridge between eras. The car carries an unexpected mix of pre-war spirit and mid-century logic. An understanding that blend requires stepping back into its origins and the environment that shaped it. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 entered a landscape where mass production and automated stamping were rapidly becoming the standard. Companies everywhere were focused on standardized bodies, unified platforms, and high-volume strategies that favored speed over craftsmanship. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 rejected those norms by embracing an ashwood frame paired with hand-formed steel panels. This choice was not a nostalgic gimmick, but a continuation of a philosophy centered on tactile performance and low mass. The frame acted as a flexible but durable backbone. Though unconventional by contemporary standards, it allowed the car to stay remarkably light while delivering a distinctive ride feel. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 carried forward the brand's heritage while adopting a modern inline-4 that brought reliable power without excess complexity. This balance helped maintain the car's identity while ensuring it stayed usable in everyday conditions. People often see the ash structure and assume fragility, but the 1965 Morgan 4/4 proved otherwise by demonstrating impressive longevity when maintained with care. Its success depended less on brute stiffness and more on intelligent distribution of load across the entire structure. The car's low weight made the most of modest output, allowing the 1965 Morgan 4/4 to feel alive even at legal speeds. This characteristic set it apart from heavier sports cars that required more aggressive driving to find their rhythm. The narrow body and upright seating position created a sense of immediacy. Every movement of the wheel produced an instant response, and owners often describe the experience as an unfiltered connection to the road. Through this, the 1965 Morgan 4/4 established a loyal following that valued feel over spectacle. Its appeal was never about top speed but about interaction. The car's styling signaled its intent clearly. Long fenders, cycle wings, and a slim hood referenced an earlier era, yet the overall stance remained purposeful rather than ornamental. Despite its vintage lines, the 1965 Morgan 4/4 felt surprisingly practical to many owners. Its compact footprint allowed easy maneuvering, and its simple mechanical layout made routine maintenance approachable. In a decade defined by rapid technological change, the car served as a reminder that innovation can take the form of refinement rather than constant reinvention. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 offered progress through continuity. When enthusiasts of the period looked at the market, they found that many sports cars were drifting toward grand touring comfort, adding weight and accessories that diluted direct engagement. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 remained committed to purity. The car also provided an alternative perspective on design. While others pursued aerodynamic optimization and smoother silhouettes, the 1965 Morgan 4/4 demonstrated that timeless proportion and lightness could deliver compelling results without wind tunnel obsession. This approach appealed to drivers who prioritized involvement over conformity. They sought machines that asked for attention and rewarded skill. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 became a learning platform for many new enthusiasts. Its clear feedback loop helped people understand weight transfer, throttle modulation, and mechanical grip without depending on high output. The mechanical honesty of the car played a major role in shaping its identity. Nothing about it felt insulated or filtered. When owners described their experiences, they often emphasized the partnership between driver and machine. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 communicates through every vibration, steering input, and surface change. The car's unusual construction also encouraged a different relationship with ownership. Drivers learned to appreciate the value of regular care and the satisfaction of understanding each component. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 fostered a community that valued craftsmanship, tradition, and thoughtful engineering. It created a culture of preservation rather than replacement. In addition, the car stood as a counterpoint to the idea that high performance required high output. Its strengths came from efficient use of power, low mass, and balanced geometry. Many sports cars of its era relied on larger engines to achieve personality. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 showed that restraint could produce excitement just as effectively. Observers sometimes misunderstood its intentions by comparing it directly to more modern competitors. The car was not chasing raw metrics but offering a form of engagement that transcended numbers. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 carved its place in the market by appealing to a mindset rather than a demographic. It attracted drivers who enjoyed mechanical clarity and the feeling of being an essential part of the process. While some buyers favored comfort or insulation, others sought the involvement that only a lightweight analog machine could provide. This divergence helped solidify the car's identity. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 used simple materials intelligently to maintain rigidity without resorting to excessive mass. This efficiency shaped both its performance and its character. Every part served a purpose. Nothing felt superfluous, and this intentionality became part of its charm. The car's assembly process reflected the same philosophy. Careful hand shaping and individual fitting meant that each example carried subtle variations that made ownership feel personal. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 delivered a combination of tradition, efficiency, and responsive handling that few other vehicles of its era matched. This blend allowed it to remain both relevant and beloved long after its introduction. Its uniqueness did not come from being unusual for the sake of novelty but from staying true to a coherent vision. The car maintained a sense of identity that resonated deeply with enthusiasts who valued authenticity. By taking this approach, the 1965 Morgan 4/4 demonstrated the potential of an unbroken lineage. Its evolution was incremental but intentional. In this way, the model illustrated how continuity can coexist with refinement. The core idea stayed intact while details improved over time. This strategy helped the 1965 Morgan 4/4 avoid the pitfalls that sometimes accompany major redesigns. It never lost the traits that defined its appeal. By understanding these origins and the environment that allowed such a machine to survive, we gain insight into how a seemingly modest sports car became an enduring symbol of mechanical purity. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 remains relevant because it stands as a reminder that simplicity can be a strength when executed with conviction and skill. In this segment, I want to dig deeper into how the 1965 Morgan 4/4 transformed a traditional construction method into a dynamic experience that felt distinct from anything offered by another manufacturer. To do that, we need to examine the car at the level of materials, geometry, and driver perception. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 used an ashwood frame not as a nostalgic flourish but as a structural strategy that created a specific balance of rigidity and flexibility. This balance allowed the car to remain stable under cornering load while still absorbing subtle vibrations that would feel harsh in a fully steel structure. The combination of ash framing with steel skin produced a hybrid behavior. The car felt firm where it needed to, yet it breathed with the road in a way that offered constant communication. Many vehicles of the mid-1960s were moving toward heavier, boxed steel platforms to support more powerful engines and expanding safety expectations. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 took the opposite path by leaning into lightweight construction and intimate driver feedback. At the core of the 1965 Morgan 4/4 was a philosophy centered on mass management. The model demonstrated how low weight could amplify performance without requiring large displacement or high output. With its modest inline-4, the 1965 Morgan 4/4 relied on a favorable power-to-weight ratio rather than brute force. This allowed the driver to explore the chassis without exceeding safe speeds. It encouraged engagement through precision instead of aggression. The lightness affected everything from corner entry to braking feel. The car responded quickly because there was simply less mass to set in motion or rein in. In an era before widespread electronic control systems, this clarity mattered. Drivers learned mechanical truth directly from the machine. Suspension design played a major role in shaping the character of the 1965 Morgan 4/4. The front sliding pillar setup, a hallmark of the brand's engineering tradition, created a distinct combination of camber behavior and steering accuracy. While some critics labeled the design outdated, supporters praised its honesty and simplicity. The system offered a direct line of communication between the front wheels and the steering wheel, contributing to the signature feel that set the 1965 Morgan 4/4 apart. Compared with the multi-link arrangements evolving elsewhere, the sliding pillar layout demanded careful tuning. When executed well, it rewarded the driver with intuitive responses and a strong sense of mechanical connection. The rear suspension of the 1965 Morgan 4/4, based on leaf springs, might appear basic compared with the coils used by a rival. However, this setup worked with the lightweight chassis to maintain predictable grip and a stable cornering attitude. The harmony between front and rear systems created a cohesive handling profile. Drivers could sense load transfer and adjust inputs smoothly. In many modern vehicles, layers of insulation filter out such sensations. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 allowed them to flow freely. Owners often noted that they could feel exactly where the contact patches were positioned at any moment. This awareness helped build confidence and skill. Although the 1965 Morgan 4/4 was compact, its packaging strategy maximized driver engagement. The seating position placed the driver close to the front axle line, creating a sensation of guiding the car from a forward vantage point. This made steering responses feel immediate. Slight adjustments generated meaningful changes in direction. The low cowl and long fenders helped frame the road ahead, reinforcing the sense of precision. Many sports cars of the period placed drivers farther back in the chassis. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 delivered an almost open-wheel sensation while still providing the comfort expected from a traditional body. Under the hood, the inline 4 of the 1965 Morgan 4/4 served a dual purpose. It provided usable power while embodying the car's emphasis on clarity and restraint. The engine's linear delivery and approachable rev range aligned with the chassis philosophy. Nothing felt abrupt or artificial. This created a harmonious relationship between throttle input and vehicle response. The model rewarded smooth technique and punished careless inputs only with gentle reminders rather than harsh reactions. In a driving culture increasingly drawn to higher horsepower numbers, the 1965 Morgan 4/4 quietly demonstrated that balance can outweigh sheer force. The carburation setup of the 1965 Morgan 4/4 also influenced its personality. Properly tuned, it provided crisp throttle response and consistent behavior across different road conditions. This mechanical transparency became a defining trait. Drivers could sense the state of the engine through subtle feedback rather than digital metrics. The exhaust note, shaped by modest displacement and efficient breathing, delivered a steady and confident tone. Not aggressive, not timid, but purposeful. It fit the car's identity perfectly, clear and confident without theatrics. Braking performance in the 1965 Morgan 4/4 reflected the same ethos. The system relied on low mass and mechanical consistency rather than assisted technology. Disc brakes at the front and drums at the rear provided predictable stopping power. Because the car was so light, brake fade was less of a concern in everyday driving. The pedal offered firm feedback. Drivers learned to modulate pressure with precision. Again, mechanical honesty defined the experience. Nothing masked the relationship between input and output. The aerodynamic profile of the 1965 Morgan 4/4 was not shaped by wind tunnel study but by tradition and functional proportion. The long hood, upright grille and cycle fenders produced a classic silhouette that cut through air with more efficiency than expected. At moderate speeds, airflow around the narrow body helped maintain stability without requiring additional aids. The car's shape also influenced the sensory experience. Wind patterns at cruising speeds produced a comfortable environment that felt coherent and balanced. The styling worked not because it chased trends, but because it refined a long-tested formula. Inside, the 1965 Morgan 4/4 maintained a straightforward environment centered on essential controls. Nothing distracted from the act of driving. The dashboard layout provided clear instrumentation. The cabin used materials selected for durability and timeless appearance. The seating offered firm support, keeping occupants stable through corners. The compact interior encouraged a focused mindset. Everything in the cabin served a purpose. The experience felt deliberate and uncluttered. The longevity of the 1965 Morgan 4/4 also resulted from maintainability. Owners could access components easily, and the car responded well to routine care. The ash frame, when protected from moisture and maintained properly, demonstrated impressive durability. Steel panels could be replaced or repaired by skilled hands. Mechanical parts, sourced from common suppliers, ensured that upkeep remained approachable. This practicality contributed to the strong ownership community. People felt empowered to take part in the care of their vehicles. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R shapes this entire segment because its legacy reaches far beyond its production year. To understand why it remains influential, it helps to explore how its design principles continue to resonate with riders long after its time. The NSR 250R represented a mature expression of lightweight performance engineering, and its long-term impact emerged not only from its specifications but from the mindset it encouraged. Riders learned to appreciate proportion, agility, and clear feedback in ways that reshaped expectations for many years. The motorcycle fostered an understanding that a balanced platform could be more rewarding than a machine built purely for high output numbers. This idea gained momentum as riders sought deeper connections with their vehicles. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R proved that a compact, responsive platform could deliver an experience rich in nuance and satisfaction without depending on intense brute performance. It showed how harmony among components created lasting appeal. As time passed, the model served as a reference for enthusiasts who valued technical refinement, cooperative handling, and the pursuit of smooth, measured control. The lasting reputation of the 1994 Honda NSR 250R comes from how it bridged two eras. It captured the essence of earlier lightweight performance philosophies while subtly hinting at modern expectations for precision and refinement. Many riders who experienced the motorcycle firsthand recognize that its defining qualities carried forward into later generations of lightweight and mid-range machines. Manufacturing evolved, electronics developed, and materials improved, but the underlying pursuit of agility remained. The NSR 250R emphasized how much satisfaction could come from a machine that communicated clearly and responded proportionally. This lesson influenced not only motorcycle culture but also the way many riders approach technique. Those who grew with the NSR 250 are often noted how it shaped their understanding of corner entry, throttle timing, and chassis feedback. The motorcycle taught habits that carried into later riding experiences. Even newcomers encountering the model today can sense its clarity. The machine reflects a period when engineering focused heavily on tactile response. As the motorcycle aged, its appeal grew within enthusiast circles. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R gained recognition as an example of focused engineering that maintained relevance despite changes in performance categories. This is partly because the model represented a pure mechanical experience. Its behavior was shaped by physical components interacting directly with rider input, without an extensive network of electronic aids. The resulting experience felt authentic in a way that allowed riders to interpret the motorcycle's reactions almost instinctively. They could sense how the chassis loaded under braking, how the engine responded to throttle increments, and how the suspension interacted with the road. This mechanical directness became a key part of the model's legacy. In a world where modern machines increasingly rely on electronic management, the NSR 250R reminds riders of the value of foundational balance. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R stands as a benchmark for what a well-tuned mechanical platform can achieve when every component works in concert. The longevity of the NSR 250R's reputation also stems from its ability to build rider confidence. The motorcycle encouraged growth through feedback rather than through sheer force. Riders who spend time with the model often recount how their skills developed naturally. Its predictable reactions helped them refine inputs without feeling overwhelmed. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R allowed riders to explore its limits gradually while maintaining a sense of security based on stability and proportional response. This approachability does not diminish its performance credibility. Instead, it enhances it by making the experience accessible and rewarding. Many motorcycles deliver speed, but fewer create an environment that nurtures rider development as consistently as the NSR 250R. As time moved forward, the 1994 Honda NSR 250R also gained significance as an artifact of a transitional period in motorcycle design. It captured the final expression of certain mechanical philosophies before industry trends shifted. Lightweight performance was evolving, regulatory frameworks were expanding, and technology was growing more complex. The NSR 250R became a snapshot of what engineers could achieve using refined mechanical tuning and thoughtful structure. Its design choices reflect the height of a philosophy centered on agility, cooperation, and proportion. For many enthusiasts, this makes it more than a machine. It becomes a symbol of an era when engineering pushed for responsiveness and harmony with fewer layers of digital mediation. This symbolic value adds depth to its legacy. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R represents a turning point where traditional engineering reached a high level before newer approaches emerged. The model also resonates within the broader culture of motorcycling because of the way it fostered community. Owners frequently connected over shared experiences, rider development, and the machine's distinctive character. This sense of connection was not limited by geography or background. The motorcycle appealed to riders who valued precision, technique, and thoughtful control. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R inspired discussions, gatherings, and long-lasting admiration that extended beyond simple appreciation for a production model. Many riders continue to celebrate it because it exemplifies how a motorcycle can shape personal growth and influence riding philosophy. This community element contributes to the model's enduring cultural presence. From a technical perspective, the 1994 Honda NSR 250R remained influential because it demonstrated how careful weight management, optimized geometry, and proportional power delivery could create a platform that excelled in diverse environments. The motorcycle remained agile on technical roads, composed at moderate speeds, and rewarding during extended rides. This versatility set it apart from machines that felt specialized or demanding. Its lightweight structure allowed for high responsiveness without sacrificing stability. Riders appreciated this blend because it supported both spirited and practical usage. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R showed that a motorcycle does not need overwhelming output to feel fast. It needs balance, clarity, and well-tuned components operating in harmony. As modern motorcycles continue to incorporate more advanced technologies, riders often revisit models like the 1994 Honda NSR 250R to understand the foundational principles that shaped earlier designs. While newer platforms may offer improved speed or efficiency, the NSR 250R remains relevant for how it teaches technique and rewards smooth, thoughtful input. These characteristics have inspired contemporary discussions about riding fundamentals. Enthusiasts often highlight the importance of mastering body position, throttle modulation, and weight transfer. The 1994 Honda NSR 250R served as a natural teacher in these areas. Its feedback loop encouraged riders to engage actively with its behavior. This educational aspect contributes meaningfully to its lasting legacy. In closing, I want to bring everything back to the 1965 Morgan 4/4 and the lasting impression it leaves on the people who encounter it. The car represents an approach to driving that prizes clarity, craftsmanship, and lightness over complexity or spectacle. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 shows that a machine can stay relevant when its fundamentals are strong. Balanced geometry, thoughtful construction, and mechanical honesty never fade from importance. Over time, the model has demonstrated that engaging driving does not depend on high output or digital assistance. Instead, it depends on a partnership between driver and machine shaped by intention and attention. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 built this connection through every component. Sliding pillar suspension, lean mass, modest but responsive power, and a body shaped by hand all supported its identity. These elements made the model a benchmark for analog enjoyment. Enthusiasts recognized that it offered a kind of experience increasingly rare in modern transportation. From a cultural perspective, the 1965 Morgan 4/4 has become more than a collector's piece. It stands as a reminder of how mechanical artistry can endure even when industry trends shift dramatically. People value it because it feels personal. Each example reflects a lineage of hand-shaped craftsmanship and the attention of owners who maintain its character. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 also illustrates that heritage can be a source of strength. By protecting the core philosophy that defined its earliest versions, the model preserved an identity that still resonates with new generations. It settled into the landscape of automotive history not as a footnote but as a consistent presence that encouraged designers to explore lightness, balance, and simplicity. The 1965 Morgan 4/4 also offers a lesson in sustainability through longevity. It reminds us that well-made machines can stay relevant for decades when they are cared for, repaired, and appreciated. This mindset stands apart from the rapid replacement cycles common in modern consumer culture. It highlights the value of durability and mindful ownership. When people interact with a 1965 Morgan 4/4, they often come away with a renewed sense of driving as a purposeful activity rather than a background task. Ultimately, the legacy of the 1965 Morgan 4/4 endures because it speaks to something universal: the desire to feel connected, to understand our tools, and to appreciate engineering that invites participation. The car shows that a carefully executed vision can hold its place across generations. It proves that analog joy remains powerful even in a digitally focused world. By looking closely at the 1965 Morgan 4/4, we see that its influence reaches far beyond its modest size. It lives on through the people who drive it, the communities that preserve it, and the enduring values it represents.